So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it was that? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dapper Reacts. This is a Dapper Reacts some number. I don't know what the number is because I didn't remember to check, and it's okay. That's fine. We don't have to know. You guys know because you can see it, and it gets cut off for me, though. But I am here with Kip and Vishanti, my normal co-hosts for this show. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Kip seems distracted. Very distracted.
I'm very distracted. Sorry.
That's all right. So I am here. I have some hard Baja Blast today, so that's fun. Haven't had that in a while. In part because the only way for me to get it is to get it as part of an 18 pack with a bunch of other ones that I don't really care about. And it's also fairly expensive because it's an 18 pack. It's still only like $1 for each can, but like, I don't want a bunch of live wire. I just want the Baja Blast. If I could buy a 12 pack of the Baja Blast, I would do that a lot more, but I can't.
You can't buy a 12 pack of the Baja Blast.
Nope. The only package of Hard Mountain Dew that is sold in my area that I have been able to find is an 18 pack that is a multi-pack, like a variety pack that has Live Wire, Code Red, just regular old Mountain Dew, and Baja Blast.
Yeah, I don't know what any of these things are, but it seems weird to me that you can't buy a 12 pack of Baja Blast.
Well, I could if it were regular Baja Blast and it wasn't alcoholic.
Yeah,
Which really, what I should do is just buy a 2-liter of Baja Blast and some vodka.
And add your own alcohol.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's all it is, really. Well, it's probably a little bit more too, but
no, it's not quite that.
Sure. So,
but yeah, whatever. It's fine.
You know, there are a couple times I've bought alcoholic root beer, which is really good, and Coca-Cola with what's that stuff called?
Whiskey?
The Tennessee whiskey. What's the Tennessee whiskey? The one that I'm going to be embarrassed about not remembering the name of now.
Jack Daniels. There you go. Are you embarrassed?
Extremely embarrassed.
Yeah,
but it was like this block, right? I can see the bottle in my head. I know exactly what this is.
I can actually buy the pre-bottled Jack and Coke at the grocery store here.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the liquor store for a long time. We can't buy, for people who don't know, in this country, we can't buy alcohol at grocery stores or gas stations. But you know, recently, I was across the border in a major metropolitan American city, and I went with a friend to like this gigantic alcohol superstore, for lack of a better term.
Was it a wine and more?
No, I don't even remember what it was called. But it was just, there was like a, I'm not going to say it, but there was like a ton of, it was just tons of stuff. So we found a really nice Shiraz.
Oh,
so it was good. But anyways, yeah, I saw that. That's where I saw the cans of Jack with Coke, and I was like, hey, I remember having these.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
back when you could buy American liquor in Canada, which I say stay strong on not buying that. Just keep not doing it.
I'll still, you know, I will probably buy it when I'm in the US.
Which I would avoid to the maximum extent possible if I were you, but hey.
But I'm not. Like next month I'm actually coming and we're gonna hang out, you and me.
That's true.
So
I would still recommend that you not come to the United States, but if you're going to be in the United States, you might as well hang out with the coolest dinosaur that you know.
I might as well, right? Where it's like freaking hot. See what I did there?
Yeah, you caught it. Because we haven't hit the super chat goal, which, by the way, any color super chat will work on that one. So if it is the light blue one, it's fine. It doesn't matter. As long as it's a super chat, it will count. So if you want Kip to be able to curse without me getting cross at him, then that is the way to do that. So we are here for this talk here. This is a sermon, I believe, given at a, what was it, like Pepper Road or something like that church? Something like that. But basically, the deal here is that this guy is arguing in favor of the actual existence of what he's calling baramins or biblical kinds. And we are in the middle of Yes?
No, I want to answer Danielle OS's question. So whenever I get a minute to do that.
You might as well go for it.
Okay. Danielle OS asks, who's the lamest dinosaur Kip knows? The answer to that is Dapper Dinosaur.
That can't be true.
Oh, it's true. You're the only dinosaur I know.
Maybe personally, true. But like there's gonna be birds that you see every day. Yeah, you know Doc Dino.
I don't know any birds. I don't know any birds.
That seems unlikely. Dino. Yeah, Doc Dino is not a bird, but he is a dinosaur.
He's not a dinosaur.
How do you know?
Yeah.
He's a person. I've met him. Well, he's a person.
You've met him no more than you've met me.
It's true, but you have assured me that you're a dinosaur. He has never provided that assurance.
I mean, his name is Dr. Dino.
Yes, but I've seen him, and he is a person, and he is not wearing a human suit.
Wait, but have you seen him in person? Because you haven't seen me in person either, and you've seen me in a human suit.
That is true, but I just assumed that. Yeah, no. But I mean, you have provided your assurance to me.
I also have shown you a picture of me and Vishanti at a museum where I am a dinosaur.
I have the photographic proof that.
So there is that. Yeah.
In fact, a dinosaur. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, no. I don't think, and I mean, I've heard Doc Dino tell me this himself. I've heard him say it on several other live streams before, that the name Doc Dino is a play on Kent Hovind's Doc Dino.
That's true. I still don't think that makes him not a dinosaur.
That's why he picked the name. If he was a dinosaur, he would have picked that name because he's a dinosaur, but that's not why he picked the name.
Maybe. Noramda puts for $2 says Big Bird might be a better dinosaur, to be honest. You know what? Maybe. That's a possibility. Big Bird might be better. Let's see.
We don't know.
All right, so this guy whose name I don't remember because I don't care about him. That's not entirely fair. I don't care about him. I don't care about him more than I care about like general people for whom I have mild distaste, which is not to say I don't care at all. Like I hope he doesn't like have some horrible injury or a painful disease or something. Like I hope he has a reasonably happy, healthy, comfortable life, but like I don't particularly care about him.
I do. If he didn't, it wouldn't bother me.
I would be a little bit like sad for, I don't know, like 5 seconds if I heard about him having a bad time.
It just wouldn't bother me. I mean, shitty things happen to people all the time. What makes him
And when I hear about it, I generally by default feel bad for a few seconds. Because I have this thing called empathy that's apparently a sin.
I'm full
of the sin of empathy.
How
sinful?
You know why? I do not have enough to expend on every person on this planet. I just don't.
I have enough that when I hear about unfortunate things that happen to strangers, I can spare a few seconds to feel a little bad about it.
Okay.
Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says, slept less than 5 hours, brain is deader than Kentucky senators, supposedly. Nice. AIG is a bundle of socks used by a teen boy. I am the lizard queen with a Godzilla, and we will take a drink. And that was also pretty gross.
Slept less than 5 hours is just that's just a regular night for me, honestly.
My last few months, I can describe a lot of my nights the way that Michael Scott described one of his, which is to say, didn't get a lot of sleep, but got in a few good hours of anxiety.
God damn right.
So, but anyway, this guy is making the argument that if two things can produce offspring, then they're in the same kind, and he's going through a laundry list of examples. And most recently, he has said that apparently the fact that a llama, can't talk, and a camel can have a baby if you use artificial insemination techniques and are careful to monitor it, that means that they have not actually been separated for 11 to 25 million years. I would suppose he's going to back that up, because what I would say is that you could also make the conclusion that therefore 25 million years is not necessarily long enough to create complete reproductive isolation. And given that we know that we have created hybrid hamster humans, it seems like this isn't a great argument, because yes, every time the creationists bring up interbreeding, I will bring up the homester.
Also, I'm not struggling to stay awake, Jillian. I'm well into my coffee. I was distracted by kitties.
No.
So.
Maybe a few thousand years at the best. Now, if we looked at all the...
He said on the basis of nothing, because remember, he doesn't have some kind of theory that could allow him to figure out like divergence time between organisms versus how interfertile they should be. He doesn't have that.
Just vibes.
Yeah, it's just vibes. If we do a third or another episode of this, we might just title it with Just Vibes.
Just Vibes, yeah. Fish, can you show everybody Peach Fuzz? Because I feel like if you didn't see Peach Fuzz yesterday, then you're missing out. And I want to make Peach Fuzz the new official mascot of my channel.
Here's Peach Fuzz with his little...
His Aaron tape.
His little Aaron tape.
Oh, it's detachable.
Yeah, it's Velcro.
Right?
You can put the...
That's adorable.
Doesn't that make it all... It makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's Peach Fuzz. So, yeah. And I did link in Kip's chat yesterday if you want to buy...
Everybody can get their own Peach Fuzz.
Or if you, want to buy an official Creep Tapes shirt, that is a thing that you can do. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yes. It's
for the chat, there is a very specific mask that they use for Peach Fuzz, and it's been out of production for several years. And I'm going to post the photo of it in the Discord, and if you see it, please notify me immediately, because I really want to get one for cosplay purposes.
Roshina for 199 says, I hear Dr. Kip is into pegging and wasn't hacked, with a question mark, I guess
no.
I heard Dr. Kip is into pegging and wasn't hacked.
That is wrong. Yeah,
that's correct. He was not hacked.
No, it was absolutely not me typing.
No one said it was you. They said you weren't hacked.
Account.
Also, if I remember correctly, it said that you were in favor of it. That is not quite the same thing as being into it, I suppose.
Listen, exactly 100%. You do whatever you want to do, so long as you have the consent to do it, and it's not illegal. Would that be? I don't know. Does that mean you don't? If it's not illegal, does that mean you don't have consent? If it's illegal, do you not have consent, or is that like a different thing?
Legality does not always overlap with.
Consent.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is it legal? Okay. Do I have consent? Okay, then go ahead.
I'm actually going to say that that's going to depend on which legality we're talking about here. If you want to fornicate in Saudi Arabia, I'm okay with it. Just don't get caught.
Sure. Yes. I mean,
Kip though, by saying if it's illegal, he's not okay with you fornicating in Saudi Arabia. He is in favor of the anti-fornication laws.
I am not.
Yeah, he would not. He would give you 40 lashes with a bullwhip.
God damn it! No.
All right. Well, we have to move on because we're going to fall behind here.
No, we can't. No, because it's not. This is how this nonsense gets perpetuated by bad faith actors like you guys.
See, he's pointing at the audience because that's who's watching.
No, I'm not. I'm pointing at you guys over there.
That's no one.
Are you?
You're not pointing at anyone there.
I don't. Now I actually have to open. I have to open the stream.
We're both below you. You can just point down.
Yeah, both you guys down there.
There you go.
Yeah, you're bad. You're bad faith actors. Who, who make my life more complicated than it needs to be.
All right. Well, now that we know that Kip is into legal positivism, I'll hit play.
But see if this does not ring true. When we go back to Genesis 1 and verse 24, then God said, let the earth bring forth a living creature according to its species. No, according to...
Actually, we did check on this last time, and we did check. And in fact, not only is it species in the Vulgate, it's also species in several Romance languages in addition. So I'm sorry
is that right?
Yeah, it is. Well, okay. Wow. Some commenters told me that when they checked their versions of the Bibles in the Romance language that is their native language, that it said species there too. I did not fact check those people, so I am trusting that my commenters were not lying to me about this. I trust that they're not. Could I be wrong about that? Yes. So if you want to double check and like go through all the translations into like Romanian and French and Italian and Catalan and Romansh and Portuguese and Ladino or whatever, feel free. And I realize I probably just named more Romance languages than most people can name total. Yeah. Whenever someone says something about Romance languages, like, oh yeah, name 7. Because most people have trouble getting past like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Gray, who's been a member for 50 months at the Tetchbot level, says, we love Dr. Kip. He's such a good sport. He is a good sport.
Thank you.
Mostly because there are laws about sports and sportsmanship. And if he doesn't follow them, then that's evil.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's because I am an affable, good-natured person.
Yeah. But if that became illegal,
you
might
not care if you live or die.
Right. Dark Law Dragon.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Dark Law for $2 sends a Godzilla, a Mothra, a King Ghidorah, an AIG's, a bag of dicks, and a drink emoji. And so drink we shall. Which means I also actually missed one of the drink triggers here.
I have nothing to drink.
So I get a Dapper the Professional. Well, you should give the dog at least a treat each time.
The meme where it's if blank has 1 million fans and I'm one of them. If they have 1 fan, I'm not one. If they don't have any fans, it means I'm dead. People have flipped that meme for haters.
Oh.
Yeah, so I actually did a meme of that for Argentina because the entire Latin American world hates Argentina for very, very valid reasons.
Yeah.
So
did they play
if Argentina has 1 million haters, then I'm one of them. If Argentina has 1 hater, I'm that one. And if Argentina has no haters, that means I'm dead.
Oh, wow. Did they play the soccer game already? The final?
The last one? No.
Yeah.
Or the second to last one or whatever.
Because they're in that.
No idea.
Is Argentina playing the game against Spain, I believe, right?
Battle of the Colonizers.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's like it is hard to pick a choice or pick a team on the Spain versus Argentina.
Team Meteor.
Yeah. Tima, can we just do a do-over? Can we put back in Norway? Can we just do that? DM Wing for $2 says
that was fun.
DM Wing for $2, and I think you mean is here, so I'm gonna say is. Says pegging is Dr. Kip's romance language with a Godzilla, and we will drink for that message.
It's not. It's absolutely not. It really isn't.
Kip, you do realize
the more you protest, the more
right.
that people are going to dig their heels in, right?
Right. If you were just like, yep, sure is, people would just stop caring because no one actually cares except that you get embarrassed about it. So you do this to yourself.
I don't. Yes. I you know what? I feel like there are certain people, like Dr. Josh and Vishanti,
right,
who have played an active role in this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That
and maybe
be that as it may, it is still your reaction that brings people back to this meme.
To its kind. Cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth, according each to its kind. And it was so. Therefore, you will have different varieties of finches, won't you?
You know, I mentioned this a bunch of times. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it here, but I might have. And whatever it is, I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
So the word mean, which means kind, is not an especially commonly used word in the Hebrew Bible, right? Like it happens a few times. Within our corpus of Second Temple or earlier Hebrew, it doesn't appear a lot. One of the only places that it appears in the Dead Sea Scrolls is in a manuscript that I worked on specifically for my PhD dissertation. And it is used there to distinguish a particular group of priests from presumably other priests. So I actually, in my translation of that particular manuscript, translated it as like an order of priests. So
that makes sense,
because it's and I think it is. Yeah, I think it's isolating the Hasmonean priests from the wider body of priests.
I'm okay with that, honestly.
Nathaniel Gray for $2 says Dr. Kip Streisand effect Davis. There we go. Yep, that little bit of that.
Thank you. Yeah, a little bit.
Yep. Hey everybody! A lot of people keep asking questions that are already answered by my "I don't like pegging" shirt.
Different varieties of snakes, different varieties of turtles, of bats, of rats, of.
Okay, hold on. Turtles is a whole kind for this guy, but rats are a different kind. Even though that's a way bigger, more diverse group in turtles. What? Okay, it really is just vibes, right? Like, if monkey is a kind, I have bad news for you, buddy. Then you're in it because you are a monkey.
Yep.
But also, how are rats one kind apart from mice? But then just all of turtles and snakes and bats are one kind. What? I'm taking a drink. This guy has absolutely no clue what he's talking about.
So much of this too, right? Like all of it for him, it's vibes, as you pointed out. But it's just like I'm looking at these pictures. And these kind of look like this other thing, therefore. But then, to your point, when it comes to apes and humans, even though there's a strong, obvious physical resemblance, they're like, nah, bro.
No, because it doesn't pass the vibe check. I mean, it passes the vibe check if you actually are a person who grew up in a place where non-human primates are very common. Because, like, in those places, non-human primates are often referred to with words that are also used for like humans, right? Like the Bornean word for orangutan is orangutan, which means man of the forest. It means forest guy, basically, because they're treated more like in Bornean culture, they're treated more like a separate ethnic group than they are like a separate kind of animal, right? It's recognized that obviously they're not actually humans, but they're treated both linguistically and to some degree culturally more like just another tribe of people. Why? Because they are so obviously connected to humans. Let's see. Sapphire Plushy Sorcerer's Life for $2 says others just help Kip express himself openly. Yeah, that's true.
No, that is not true. No, I have no problem. People should just listen to me when I'm expressing myself.
You express yourself most truly through others because of your hang-ups from your sheltered life as an evangelical in the 1960s growing up.
Jesus Christ! What?
He was born in the 70s.
I was born in 1973.
That's the 1970s. I was right. Growing up in the 70s.
I have as much experience. I have as much experience with the 1960s as never mind.
All right,
I'm just gonna stay quiet. What my shirt is?
Live long and suck it. Also, Pooty Cat has just joined the channel at the tetrapod level. Thank you very much. Send some tetrapod emojis. Do not send pelagic tunicate emojis. That will scare people away. Don't do it. No.
It's impressive that you would suggest that I have any kind of lived experience in the 60s, because God damn it, I mean, if that were the case, I look amazing. Honestly.
I mean, it's literally just the Kip is old joke. That's literally all that's happening there. Right? It's like when I pretend that you were in college in like the 80s. It doesn't make any sense. It's just whatever.
No.
Loshina for $4.99 says, Kip, first part of Leviticus 19:19 says animal hybrids are possible, but prohibited by God's law. Is that correct? And also that potatoes are a sin. I don't feel like it says potatoes are a sin.
They didn't have potatoes in ancient Israel.
Yeah.
It's a New World plant.
Yeah. But it says animal hybrids are possible but prohibited by God's law.
Don't let your cattle mate with a different kind.
Oh, yeah, right.
Let's see. Efukotai, Tishmaru. So observe my hukot.
What if my cattle do it on their own and I'm not watching?
Well, just like the situation with the goring ox, it's your responsibility to make sure that your cattle are not behaving untowardly without your direct supervision.
So I basically have to keep them in separate stalls unless I'm breeding them.
And you just have to watch them constantly.
Can I have like one of my like debt slaves do it instead, so I don't have to?
Sorry, say that again. I was distracted.
I said, could I have one of my debt slaves do it so I don't have to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was going to say that it's actually good agricultural practice to not just hurl a bunch of mishmash seeds all over your field. Like you want to keep carrots in one place and like, radishes in another. Like you don't want to mix them. That's just good agriculture. So
yeah, even if you're doing like a home garden, you should still keep your crops in a certain area for each crop.
Yeah. Also, like, if you're not letting your behemoth, that's just like your beasts, mate with a different kind. I don't know that that's talking about like maybe an auroch and an ox hybrid versus like an auroch and a like goat. I don't know if that's what that's talking about because it doesn't say. Let's see the language.
Roshna says potatoes are a hybrid between
Kilaim Shadcha. Oh, well, that's the next word. Shadcha is for your field.
Roshna is saying that potatoes are a hybrid between tomatoes and another plant. Well, first of all, that would not fall under your beasts of burden or your cattle or whatever we're going to translate behemoth as. But also, I would like to see a citation that potatoes are a hybrid between tomatoes and something else because I am not.
Potatoes are their own.
Yeah,
thing.
Pretty sure that they're their own thing. They're related to tomatoes. They're relatively close.
It just says don't let your beasts lie down with another thing.
For $2, Metageeky Platypus Librarian says Dapper is to pelagic tunicates like Kip is to pagan. That's not true.
No,
I don't think that's true.
No, that's not true. Exactly.
I have. Dutch Tunicate Official for $2 says Mesoamerican agriculture involved mixing crops. So it depends on what you mean. So there were cases where squash, beans, and corn were grown together, but that's not just like chaotic mismatch of like just whatever seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Get back.
So, all right, we're gonna hit play on this after our update here. Let's go.
Cats, of dogs, of pigs, of monkeys, but a finch will always be a finch.
Right.
A snake, a turtle, a turtle, a bat, a bat, a rat, a cat, a cat, a dog, a monkey, a monkey,
and
it kind of feels like at this point, it kind of feels like that guy who makes the heavy metal songs out of things that televangelists preach and say.
Oh yeah.
It kind of feels like somebody needs to get on this.
Yes, that actually that would be a good clip.
Andre Antunes. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, it's true. A monkey will always produce a monkey, and humans are still monkeys. Yep. And it's also true all the way up the taxonomy. Mammals will always produce mammals. That's why you're still a mammal, even though you evolved from mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Narond puts for $2 says, man discovers law of identity.
Yeah, seriously.
That's good.
Also, everyone who's a member or everyone who's a channel member, every time you send a super chat, you could be adding one of our kaiju emojis and making us drink. Just saying.
A pig, and a man will always be a man.
Was that casual transphobia? Is that what was happening right there?
Apes.
I actually think that the picture on the screen of this gentleman is actually like the local church board treasurer.
Oh.
And and he bought way too many hot dogs for the Sunday school picnic, and then they made fun of him for it after that. So
could be.
Also in the chat, Matt CB Fisher,
and his name is Jeff,
writes that you can't evolve out of a clade, which is
exactly. Let's see. Fitzbraun, who's been a member for 11 months and at the Amniote level, says there are tomatoes where you graft a tomato onto the potato root, to get both foods, but that's not a hybrid. Yeah, that can work.
Tomako. Don't forget about Tomako.
I will not forget about Tomako.
Good.
But you know what? That's not what they teach you in school.
It actually is. It is, though. That is what they teach you in school because it's true. Yeah. And it's part of evolution that you can't evolve outside of a clade.
You're back. I agree with DM Wayne that was absolutely transphobia. A man will always be a man.
Yeah. So
I think that's true.
Yeah. You could say that, well, literally, since it's in a group of like taxa, he's talking about, a Homo sapiens will always be a human and will always give birth to human. Like maybe. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just transphobia given when this is and who we're talking about here, which is an evangelical, which like transphobia is like breathing to them.
Egyptomaniac posted a 2025 study on the potato as a hybrid thing. Quote, ancient hybridization underlies tuberization and radiation of the potato lineage. Zhang, Pingxian Zhang, and Yuhuanding. I'm sorry if I messed up.
Neat.
I'm not very good at it.
I may have to look into that.
Yeah.
Triceratops, there are 2 C's in Tomako.
They teach you, they change into different kinds.
They don't, though, because kind isn't a thing. And the entire thing that you've been trying to do, buddy, is tell me what a kind is. But all you've been able to do is say that a kind is a group of animals that can interbreed. But that there are groups of animals that can interbreed is expected by evolution, because fundamentally, if animals couldn't interbreed with like at least conspecifics, how could any of it work?
Show us the dog. Show us the puppy.
Roshino for $4.99 said citation cell.com/cell/full text with the link, and I have opened that in a new tab so that I may peruse.
Show us the doggy. Yes. He just did a jump.
He's playing a very intense game of catch the red ball, but now he lost it and he's losing his little brain.
The red ball is important for him because it helps him concentrate on writing his next great book that you're going to publish under your own name.
Yeah, he's just stimming.
Joshua Geese for $5 says, was that 5 trans pride flags? Also Mothra. We will drink for the Mothra because I'm presuming that you are on mobile. Because mobile is still really bad at channel emojis, which is extremely annoying. All right.
I'm in a home where the host has 2 cats, and one of them is a girl cat, and she's finally accepted that I'm a presence here, and she's blessed me by sitting in my lap occasionally, which is very nice. She's a little mischievous, but that's okay. Girls can have hobbies. And then the other one is a boy cat who basically only has 1 brain cell, but he is very cuddly and I adore him. So he sleeps on my legs. Yeah.
That's nice. But since cats aren't in the Bible, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to have them based on something.
I'm concerned about my I'm concerned about Dagon's mental health, so I think I better get the red ball.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's never been proven, as we will demonstrate this week. Well, what have we learned so far in the lesson?
Nothing.
Nothing. We've learned that you don't understand evolution at the most basic level, and that's about it.
Oh,
the fixity of animal kinds disproves neo-Darwinian evolution. Animal can change.
Imagine thinking that the fact that you found out that some animals can produce sterile offspring when you breed them together somehow disproves evolution, as if evolution didn't say that genetic isolation was an ongoing process that was not an abrupt, like, binary transition.
Why didn't Darwin think of that?
Yeah. Except that, he does seem to have thought of that. That's the thing. Oh. It's
really not.
Seriously, this is at least flat Earth level of nonsense, where they'll just see like, well, if the Earth is round, then how come? And then they'll just say something that is absolutely predicted on the globe. Like, then how come, we see the sun, the stars not moving in the sky in random directions? Instead, they just go in a circle. It's like, because the Earth is spinning and it's a globe. That's why. Right? And the Earth is also moving, through space, but those are very far away. So this is a prediction of our model.
But did you know that if you turn around, the stars are then spinning in the opposite direction?
Oh, I guess that is true.
Mm-hmm.
She's debating it. She's sitting on the PC tower.
No.
She really wants to go.
It's warm.
Into the other room where her normal human is, but she's.
Is she trapped with you?
Looking at me like, she's thinking.
Within their kind, microevolution, not outside their kind, macroevolution. So the next time you're in school, you know what example your teacher's going to use?
Oh my God. If he's about to tell kids to disrupt school, I'm going to tell you right now, please don't do that. Even if you disagree, that's something to discuss with the teacher later. They have to get through a curriculum, right? Like, there are certain things that, at least if in grade school, right? Like before college, that a teacher has to get through and that you have to learn because there are government mandated science standards. Please don't disrupt that class.
Yeah, no, nobody wants that. But I do take some solace, Dapper, in the fact that, and I'm 100% right about this. Any children that are in this audience are not listening to him.
That's probably true.
And
I would have been, though.
That just leaves the adults who are, not going to find themselves in school.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anytime soon. So it's a hollow protection, but
Look, there's different types of peppered moths. What are you going to say? That's microevolution.
And then everyone will agree with you because there was no speciation involved. So yes, it was microevolution, but it's a demonstration of natural selection in action, right? That's the whole point of it. No one has ever pointed to the peppered moths example from England to say, and therefore universal common ancestry. It is a easy to understand recent historical example of natural selection, and it is used to demonstrate the efficacy of natural selection in the real world. That's it. It is not the linchpin of evolution. It is not presented as an example of macroevolution. It is just a handy and easy to understand example of natural selection. That's all it is.
There's different varieties of dogs. That's microevolution. There's different varieties of pigeons, of finches.
As I've said many times, the only difference between microevolution and macroevolution is time.
Mm-hmm. Also, when he said finches, that actually is macroevolution because there are multiple species of finch. So let's take a drink for him getting some of this right, but also getting it really wrong that one time. Because again, this man fundamentally does not understand what micro and macroevolution are because he has been told this by people who lied to him. Because, let's be honest, this guy didn't take an evolutionary biology course, right? That's not this guy. He is taking all these talking points from people like Ken Ham or Randy Galuzza or
Roger Purdom.
Kent Hovind.
Yeah, Kent Hovind maybe. So he is taking this from people who lied to him. I don't think he's lying here because I don't think he knows enough to know how wrong he is. Unlike Georgia Purdom, like Vishanti said, who was in the video that I premiered on Thursday, right? Who absolutely knows better because she has a degree in this stuff. Yeah.
She doesn't have an excuse. She's just lying.
No. He has the excuse that, like, well, look, he got this from co-religionists whom he considers to be smarter than him and whom he trusts because of their status as thought leaders within his religious tradition.
Microevolution. They're not changing into anything else. Now, I will warn you, when you use that argument here.
Except that it is changing into something else, right? There's no minimum amount of change that we have that, like, counts, right? If a population changes from being dogs that are on average 10 kilograms to a population of dogs that are on average 20 kilograms, you've changed into a new thing. You used to be 10 kilogram dogs. Now you're 20 kilogram dogs. That's a new thing. And all he's doing is saying, well, yeah, but the vibes still check out as dogs, so it doesn't count. But guess what? Do you know what section you put down in your description of an animal for the vibes? There is no section. If you want to draw up a phylogeny or a cladogram, you have to do things like put in actual traits that you've measured and that you can actually say for certain are there. Vibes don't go into it.
Also, does he classify like sea otters in the same category as weasels?
I don't know if he does.
Because they are mustelids, and the only real difference is that they're fluffier and they have flippers on their back feet.
Yeah, and they've got the web feet. I don't know if he does.
I have a co-host for one of my shows who is a trench coat full of weasels.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And an astrophysicist.
And not an otter, but also an expert on magnets.
Yes.
Megan Fox's Giant Booze is also saying that sea otters are huge. It's true. Giant river otters are even more huge than that.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as microevolution. It's all the same. You can read that all over the internet. It's all the same. There's no micro or macroevolution. You have to remind.
Well, there is, but you have to remember that the distinction is fundamentally arbitrary, right? We picked a definition for macroevolution. Well, not we. A botanist once picked a definition for macroevolution. And part of the problem there was that he was what was called a mutationist, which means he believed in basically something akin to saltation, which means that he believed that that the natural selection process could account for variations within species, but he also thought that the differences between species had to be explained by massive, large-scale mutations that caused a fundamental change in the genetic architecture of an organism. And this was before we even really knew what DNA was and how it worked, and we couldn't sequence anything, right? So when he was saying this, it's not like it was a crazy idea because we couldn't really check. And so he came up with this idea of microevolution, meaning the kind of thing Darwin was talking about, and macroevolution being these abrupt changes that can go between species. But the problem is that he was fundamentally wrong about that being how species come about. But because the words micro and macroevolution for species level change and below species level change had already become common in evolutionary biology, they stuck around. And so at the time that those words were coined, yeah, there was a big difference, right? And that's why they were coined as separate words and why people talked about them as separate processes. But when it turned out that the mutationists were wrong, and that there is no macro mutation that's needed to get new species, and that new species can just gradually emerge out of a single population that has separate parts be isolated, and then they both diverge as a result of genetic drift and selection and separate mutations in each lineage, that can create new species. Suddenly we realized, oh, so macroevolution is just microevolution, but long enough to create a separate species. Right. That's it.
Also,
so
IT Guru 42 in the chat is saying tobacco worked as a graft because both plants are in the nightshade, Solanaceae family, and that made really toxic tomatoes. Yeah,
that does sound right.
Why I think there were a lot of people in Europe who were very afraid of eating tomatoes at first because they look like deadly nightshade because they're part of the nightshade family. So.
But could I take those tomatoes, dry them up, and make a pizza sauce flavored cigarette.
You can make tobacco.
Some people are so busy thinking about whether or not they could, they don't stop to think if they should.
What, you don't want to inhale your pizza flavor? I can put some oregano in there, put a little bit of garlic into my tobacco cigarette.
Them, and we can show multiple quotes. They're the ones that came up with the terminology.
Yes. And when we invented it, we didn't have as much information as we do now about the process. And there were some people, again, the mutationists, who thought that they were very separate processes. And we've since learned that they were wrong because we did this thing that science does, which is gather data and take the new data into account and adjust our models of how things worked. And that's why you can't really find any mutationists left, because the paradigm got updated with the new data about how genetics and speciation works. But we just didn't get rid of the old terms. And so now we have two terms for basically different scales of this process. I don't know what to tell you, man. The fact that you don't know enough about the history of science to figure out what's going on here isn't necessarily a problem. But where it becomes a problem is where you say that the people who do know enough about what these terms mean, their history, the history of science, actual evolutionary models, when you complain that they're doing it wrong, the people who know something, that's where we get to a problem. Because it's very obvious that you don't know any of this. Do you think this guy is going to mention the mutationists and the position that macro mutations needed to be a thing for speciation? I don't think he will.
The highest tiered evolutionists are the ones.
Yeah, because evolution is basically the Catholic Church.
Highest tier
They're like the
evolution.
I'm a 57th degree evolutionist.
Yeah. Well, I'm the Pope of evolution, actually. So,
the grand potentate, grand potato and tate.
Yes, actually, sorry.
I'm a non-affiliated evolutionist.
Oh, you don't have like a denomination or something?
No.
Okay.
Just free. I'm just a free.
I'm a free will evolutionist.
Yeah.
Kip is a squirrel zone evolutionist, since now I'm bringing in Scientology.
What about a primitive evolutionist?
Oh, yeah. That maybe the primitive evolutionists do still accept macromutations as a driver of speciation.
That came up and said, oh, no, it's just microevolution, also known as horizontal variation.
No, it's not known as that. That is not a term that gets thrown around. Sometimes horizontal gene transfer happens, but that's when you get genes from something that's not your ancestor. Horizontal in evolutionary biology means not from ancestors, right? So if you have a horizontal gene transfer, or you're talking about horizontal variation, then you would be talking about like the variation at a particular generation or at a particular point in time in a species. Vertical means through time from ancestors to descendants, right? So in this, we consider the vertical axis to be time, and we consider the horizontal axis, to be morphology or genetic diversity or something like that, which we're abstracting into a single dimension in this analogy. That's what's going on there. If that's not what you're talking about, then that's not what you should be using horizontal or vertical for.
Or genetic plasticity within.
Genetic plasticity is not a thing. Phenotypic plasticity is a thing, which is the phenomenon that a single genotype can result in a continuum of phenotypes. Genotype is what's actually like in your genetic code, line by line, chromosome by chromosome. Phenotype is all of the things that result in an actual organism. So like your size, your strength, your speed, your various biochemicals, which proteins get expressed. All that stuff is a phenotype. And different organisms can have the same genotype and different phenotypes. For instance, if you've ever met adult identical twins, in some cases, they no longer look identical, even though they do have the same genotype. Because maybe one decided to
school with identical twins, and they weren't carbon copies of each other. They had the same genetics, but you could tell them apart.
Yeah.
Just because they shared the same, fertilized egg or whatever, it doesn't mean that you can't distinguish them at all.
Right. Like maybe one of them went into on the football team, and the other one was in the swim team. they're going to develop different muscles differently, and they're going to have differences in their bone shape, or they might have a different diet, in which case they're going to get differences in like how they're metabolizing certain foods and things like that. Like lots of things can affect that, and that's phenotypic plasticity.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like you could tell them apart because one was slightly thinner than the other one, just slightly. Like one had a like more narrow face shape. I mean, it's
not the same person.
Yeah, not the same person.
The animal kind. So finally, the last thing we want to look at are 4 frequently asked questions. First of all, how did Noah fit all those animals in the ark? So that.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is that he didn't, because it's a literary creation, not a historical event. So, like, it's like asking how, the Doctor fit all those companions in the TARDIS when it's only the size of a phone booth. You're like, oh, it's bigger inside. It doesn't actually matter what the answer is, right? Because he didn't fundamentally. There never was a Doctor who had and there never was a TARDIS, and there never were companions, right? But of course, he's just going to go with like, oh, well, he didn't need to bring 2 of every species. Okay, I don't really care, but let's listen to him anyway.
That's often what skeptics will mock Genesis about, amongst other things.
I mean, it is funny, the fact that the Ark Encounter over in Kentucky has a very small zoo section, and they have a zoo staff that numbers several dozen, whereas the Ark itself was originally supposed to have been stuffed with animals and had a zoo staff of 8.
8.
Yes. So, like...
And also the Ark Encounter has an HVAC system when the text says there was a window.
Right. And of course, the reason they have that is because if you actually tried to ventilate the Ark, even with just the crowds of people, which is a much smaller amount of like animal biomass than the Ark would have actually had, it would become a deoxygenated death trap. Because there's no circulation. So, like, the opening of the doors occasionally would not let in enough oxygen or let escape enough carbon dioxide, nor would the one window. So it would become a death trap. And if you had a bunch of herbivores just spewing out methane all the time, it would become even deadlier, even faster. And you would literally choke to death on cow farts. Not just cows, but like on the farts of various herbivores. So like, on the one hand, this is like my least concern. Like, how did Noah fit all the animals? I don't care that much. It doesn't matter much. But on the other hand, like, it is in fact a decisive problem for the Ark, that the Ark simply cannot survive with this many animals.
Chattering Ape in the chat says, FAQ number 1, what are you smoking? FAQ number 2, is it tobacco?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you don't smoke tobacco, you eat tobacco.
Well, what if I do smoke it?
That's worse than chew.
I don't know if it can be tobacco if you're smoking it.
Why can't it be?
I guess maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way that you can. I've never seen it done before. Get back. The accepted way is to eat it.
There's no way you can fit all those millions of animals in the Ark. How did that occur? Well, first of all, let's look at the biblical account. In Genesis, the 6th chapter, in verse 14, it says, "Make for yourself
the
God
biblical
an
account."
ark.
That's always fun. The biblical account.
One account.
Yeah, even though the Noah account is itself stitched together.
Yes, it's an obvious mashup of 2 accounts, like an obvious one. It's not even you don't even have to squint to see it. It's right there.
Mm-hmm. Primordial Puggles in the chat says there are 10,000-year-old tree stumps in Scotland and Tasmania continuously producing trees impossible in a global flood of brackish water.
Yep.
Of gopher wood, you shall make the ark with rooms.
Hey,
you shall cover it inside.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
And out with pitch. This is how you shall make it. The length of the ark, how big? 300 cubits. We don't know for certain how long a cubit was.
Just call it 1.5 feet, man. Who cares? Just call it 1.5 feet. That's close.
We know what the Egyptian cubit was like. It didn't vary that much. It wasn't like, oh, well, this cubit was 1.5 feet and this one over here was like 7 feet. That's not.
Yeah. They're all about 1.5 feet or like, about a half a meter. Just say that. Half a meter, 1.5 feet.
Victoria Macarius is asking me what my mug says.
Oh, yes.
I do have my yellow mug. It's just packed up in a unknown box in the garage because, yeah, I had to rush pack before I evacuated the old place.
Usually we use...
Oh, for $5, Dutch Tunicate Official says, I have to acclimate my plant to brackish water over weeks. How do creationists think all the plants on Earth adjusted so fast with a Godzilla? They don't even consider it, or some of them will say that they think that the floodwater was actually fresh water.
And that the oceans became that salinated in a very short amount of time?
They think that the salination of the... I just screwed that up. So I'll take a drink for Dapper's professional. But they think that the salination of the ocean is primarily a post-flood phenomenon that occurred over the course of thousands of years. Now, I have not done the math.
Hyper-evolution and hyper-salinization. Good job.
Do they think the same thing about the salination of the Dead Sea?
I don't know. I have not heard any of them directly address that.
That one went plaid.
Yeah. Maybe when God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he shot a bunch of salt into the Dead Sea as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it does. I mean, the text.
Maybe that's where all the salt came from. It was the.
In salt
it was
water.
the stuff.
It was
the stuff falling
Lot's
from
wife.
all the brimstone and sulfur.
Yeah.
Falling from the sky, right?
Or maybe
that's
maybe the pillar that Lot's wife became after she turned back fell into the Dead Sea, and that's why it's all salty.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. See, because the Bible doesn't tell us how big the salt pillar was, just that she turned to salt.
That's true.
It's true.
Could have been a giant. I don't know.
Primordial Puggles sends $100 redues with no message. Thank you so much, Primordial Puggles.
Wow, thank you.
That is a big deal. And then for $2, Madam Commissar, there we go, says creationist ad hoc solutions must never be mixed. It's true, because then you find out how contradictory they are.
Yeah.
This is my religious exemption from young Earth creationism, because Judaism teaches against shatnez, as like mixing fabrics and seeds and animals. So I choose this qualifies.
Yes. Also, is the name Madam Commissar a 40K reference, or is it a Soviet Union reference? Let me know. Because they both had commissars.
I feel like if you were able to see the avatar, that would probably give it away.
It's so tiny. What is it?
See if I can click on there.
Okay.
Dang it.
I'll hit play while we work on that.
18 inches. Could have been longer. Some suggest 21. We'll use 18. So
sure, 18 seems fine. 21 seems a little bit excessive to me, but like, whatever.
300 cubits, it's 450 feet long.
Okay, so he's going with the AIG measurements, which, again, fine. I think the AIG arc is something that you could say would be described the way that the Bible describes the ark. And yes, Kip, I know that the word ark itself implies that it's a box shape. I agree with you. I think that's probably what the intent of the author was. But I do think that there is some wiggle room for making it have a keel and like a boat shape at the bottom if you absolutely need it to for your interpretation. And I do think that you're right about this, Kip. I'm just saying I am not going to be that nitpicky and say that that's not okay with the creationists to do. And I'm getting stronger Soviet Union vibes than I am imperial vibes from that avatar.
Madam Commissar is a Helldivers 2 reference. Super Earth will burn.
Oh, see, I haven't played. So, okay, here's my history with Helldivers 2. When it came out, it was getting really popular, and at least one of the science friends was playing it. And I was like, all right, I'll give this a go. So I bought it on Steam, and then I launched it, and then it didn't launch. So I tried it again, and it didn't launch. So I went on to check to see what the problems was, and after several like trial and error options about like different ways to boot it up and code you could inject via the startup settings in Steam and all that stuff, what it turns out was just, the anti-cheat is just incompatible with your computer, and it will just never open for you until they change that anti-cheat. And I said, okay, I'll refund. And that has been my experience with Helldivers, was buying it and refunding it on the same day because I couldn't get to play it. So as a result, I do not get most of the references. I know about Liberty. And I know about the existence of the main enemy factions.
Okay.
But that's about it. Let's see. Josh McGee's for $5 says there's also Der Kommissar, a song by Falco with a Godzilla, and I am not aware of that song either.
There you are. You've heard it.
Okay, well, I don't know it by that name. How's that?
Absolutely heard it.
There's a lot of things I've heard, but I wouldn't be able to name. In fact, there's one thing that I know I've heard many times I can't name, which is the door creak sound effect that everyone uses. I don't know what the actual name of that sound is. I also don't know what the name of that the pottery shattering sound that everyone uses is, because those are classics. I know the name of the Wilhelm scream though.
Mm-hmm.
1.5 football fields. Its breadth 50 cubits or 70 feet wide, and its height 30 cubits.
That's actually not that impressive. 70 feet wide. Like, okay.
Cubits are about 45 feet tall. And notice, you shall make it with a lower and a second and a third deck. Now, if you do the math on those dimensions, this is how big it is. 1.5 million square feet on the 3 decks.
Except
We talked about this,
the description on how to build this does not tell you how thick the walls were.
It does not.
Oh, that's right. We did this. We did this on our show with Doc Dino. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Kostyacom for $2 says gopher wood should translate as carbon nanotubes. Oh, that explains it. That's how it can be so thin and light and everything and float so well. Yep. Nope. You got it. I mean, can you prove that before the flood there wasn't a tree whose wood was made of carbon nanotubes? No, you can't prove it.
A whole forest of them.
Maybe.
Apparently.
At least one species of tree, right? That you could find abundantly in the area. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to refresh my drink here. Everyone can get up, grab yourself a snack, use the bathroom, whatever you need to do. And we will be back in just a few minutes. All right, we are back without Kip because apparently Kip is off, like, I don't know, like preparing a roast beef or something. It's gonna take him a little bit. Let's see. The Screen Geek, who's been a member for 39 months, is at the annual level, says, almost forgot to jump in. What did I miss? Mothra, Godzilla, Ghidorah. Did we get Bilbo yet? We did not get Bilbo yet. And that is because currently we actually don't need to be Bilbo'd. But, I mean, do hit like. But I will take a drink for the super chats with the kaiju emojis. Or, well, membership milestone chat. Okay, so the quick commercial bit while Kip isn't here. This channel is almost entirely supported by my viewers. That's people like you watching right now, the people I'm talking to. Basically, I do this as my gig. This is what pays my bills, is this channel. And it is the reason that it does that, is the reason that I can make 3 and sometimes 4 videos on this channel every week, and why I can also make about 2 videos every week over on Top Hats Off, my second channel. So I am putting out 5 to 6 videos a week, that's a lot. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. And so if you appreciate what I do here or there, and you want to help me be able to keep going and continue to do this for as long as I possibly can, which is what I would like to do, then there are some great ways to support me. But the first thing I want to say about supporting me is only do it if you can afford it. Please, this should be something out of your entertainment budget, right? This should not be like, oh, do I support Dapper or do I buy food and clothing? Buy the food and clothing. If you have something left over, if you want to, then you can toss that at me. But the best way probably to support me is the Patreon. The Patreon is where I get to keep the largest proportion of what you send to me. It starts at only $1 a month if you want to do that. There's also an option to go for an annual subscription, which has a 15% discount over that length of time, what it would take to do monthly, right? So that means that like the cheapest option per month is an option that is under $11 a month, which means you can join the Patreon effectively for less than $1 US a month, which I consider to be a pretty good deal. The channel memberships start at $1.99 a month. There is no annual option there. Both of those give you access to my Discord server. Both of them give you access to my videos that come out for early access. 2 came out this week for early access, and they will be in early access until December. So, like, it's really early access. Let's see. The channel memberships give you a cool channel badge. Your name becomes green in the chat. You can get once a month a membership milestone chat, all that stuff. If neither of those are your thing, but you still want to support, there's always super chatting, super thanks, gifting memberships. I also have a Throne wish list in the description, as well as a Steam wish list in the description. And if you want to become my Steam friend, just like let me know. I'm very easy to become Steam friends with. I accept random invitations to become Steam friends. And then sometimes I notice that it's a like a 20-somethings kawaii Asian woman, and then it turns out to be a scam. So that happens sometimes. That's actually happened a few times. But it's actually fun, though, because I know it's going to be a scam once I see that. And they say like generic things like, I really like your profile picture. It's like, really? You really like my profile picture of a random-ass dinosaur with a top hat? I don't believe you. Anyway, and if none of those are right, there's also their merch store. And also there is rendering for me. If you want to render for me, there is a quick and easy way to do that. And it is to use the description. There is a link there under the How to Render For Me section. Go to that link, download the client appropriate to your operating system, use the login information there, and you will be rendering for me. And we just got 20 memberships gifted by Dinosaurian Dude. And nice. So I'm going to start taking 20 drinks. Could, Vishanti, there's also the super chats from Abundance of Shrugs and Screen Geek. Could you read those while I take those 20 drinks?
I could, and I will. Abundance of Shrugs 3133 for 5 says, I don't know about creationist vibe checks, but the intermission music passes my vibe check. Mothra and a trans flag. The Screen Geek for €5 says, the paying viewers? Guys, he's talking about us, I think. Here, take my entertain budget. Heart. Also, why is the super chat goal at 50? Any reason?
Real quick.
Saint Shlomo for 10 writes, greetings from my 41st birthday, and from under my cat, Jules, I can only see the top half of the stream. From the dicastery of Saint Shlomo, the patron saint of goat herders. Trans-flag emoji.
I need to take one extra drink for the Mothra from Abundance of Shrugs. So there is a reason why it's at 50, and it used to be at 30, but it also used to be $5 and up super chats. And I decided that I thought it might be more fun if it were higher, but all super chats counted. And that's it. And also because I don't want us to every time hit it all the time. I want it to actually be like a challenge that we have to work at. So, because for one thing, it is changing my my rules for the stream from PG-13 to R when we hit that. So, and I like to run a family-friendly show in which we talk about pegging a whole bunch today.
Well,
so it's Kip's fault though.
Like it's not. It's actually, as I said, Vicious and Dr. Joshua Bowen's fault, as well as probably Rabbi Kana, that rebel rabbi.
Last year's SBL, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get the one from Saint
Containment?
Did we get the one from Saint Shlomo?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. And then I will do Dinosaur Can Do for 6-0 says, thought you might be thirsty from that break. I was actually. So I appreciate that. Although I did start to get a tiny bit of brain freeze. So it was a little like, ooh.
I hate that.
Yeah. There's a video of that I saw once of a tiger licking an ice block it had been given that's full of like fish and also mixed in with like blood or whatever. So it's gross, but it's just sitting there like absolutely obsessively licking this. And then you see it like get up and freeze. And it's pretty obvious that tiger just got brain freeze, and it like turns it, like cocks its head slowly and is like, ah. It was very, very adorable.
I went and got some crackers and cheese, and I've got like World Cup edition Ritz crackers that are like little jerseys, as well as soccer balls.
That's cute. That? I do see that.
Isn't it?
Sapphire Plushy Sorcerer's Lights for $2 says, when do we get the adult-only rated stream, Godzilla? We'll take a drink for the Godzilla. And the answer is when I finally make that OnlyFans account for you. Because I am not going to go around and violate the YouTube terms of service on that one. Yeah. You know, I got a community guideline strike once for not publishing a video.
What?
Yep. I was responding to an anti-masker, and I thought that he might delete the video. So I just put the video on my YouTube channel, unpublished. It was actually privated, if I remember correctly.
Oh, man.
And they were like, community guideline strike. Now, did that guy get his video taken down? Like, I had my unlisted, privated video taken down. No, he did not. So that's fine.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And in fact, actually, remember that time that I did an interview or a stream with you, Kip, that was supposed to be on my channel, but it ended up being on yours because my channel was unavailable?
That's right.
That's because after that, well, that got me the warning, but then a subsequent video in which I recommended that people follow the advice of their doctors and get vaccinated, that one got a community guideline strike for promoting anti-vax material.
Wild.
Yep. So, thanks, YouTube.
1.5 million over 1.5 million square feet. That's equivalent to 627 standard.
Why does it say? Hold on. Why does he say 1.5 million square feet, and on the graphic it says over 1.5 million cubic feet?
Because he typed the wrong number in the superscript. Yeah, it's a typo. Because above that it talks about feet of space. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So one of those he's talking about is actually the cubic feet, and one of them is the square feet. Although, also,
I see.
Cubic metric units drive me crazy.
Yeah, they do. They're
use gallons and liters if you want to use like volume units in Imperial, or just use cubic meters or liters. Just just pick a lane, man. Like it's not even pick a lane. I just hate cubic Imperial units. I don't like them. I don't want to hear about cubic miles, cubic yards, cubic feet. I hate it. And it's not a rational response, and I get that. It's a pet peeve of mine. It doesn't make any actual sense, but I can't stand cubic Imperial units. Let's see. For $2, Dark Law Dragon says Godzilla, Mothra, Ghidorah, AIG's a bag of tricks, and a drink. And so drink we shall. Okay, here we go.
Or 500 tractor trailers, or a line of trucks 117 football fields long.
Oh, we're measuring in football fields. That's how we know he's an American. It's such a dead giveaway that someone's an American when they measure things in football fields. Because he does not mean
probably
a soccer
okay,
pitch.
Though. It's probably okay, though, when he's speaking to an audience full of Americans.
Yeah, no, I guess it is. But it's just, it's one of those weird quirks of like American culture that's like, well, everyone knows how big a football field is. I guess that's true. Do like Italians say like
unaware? Is also someone who is blissfully unaware that an American football field is not the same length as a Canadian football field.
Oh, he does not care, even if he were aware.
He doesn't care. He doesn't even know.
Do like Italians measure things in like Colosseum lengths? Like, wow, that's 40 Colosseums long.
Also, Baraminologists, remember we said, what are the original kinds?
Baraminologists.
Baraminologist has the same energy as when ancient aliens are like, some researchers believe.
Ancient astronaut theorists contend.
Right.
When you break the animals down to their original kinds, you wouldn't need 800 varieties of cattle, right? You would just need...
What do you mean need?
Well, that's... By needs, he means that's how many would have been on the Ark under the assumption that Genesis is literally true to the maximum extent it can be, which is not entirely because, hey, spoiler alert, Genesis contradicts itself inside it's the same book.
I have two things to say. First of all, when he said break down the animals, I was like picturing Lego. And taking apart the Lego tiger, and then I guess rebuilding it into like a Lego cat. I don't know.
That's the tiger again.
Yeah, I just noticed on this picture that he has of the Ark. There's like a gigantic crane.
There sure is.
At the one end. So like, did they build? They built the gigantic crane.
That would be the assumption, yes.
To build the gigantic boat.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
That's
also, so you can see it's got these. So this is clearly an AI created picture, right? Because for one thing, the perspective and the scale is all over the place, and for another thing, we've got these vertical things that it's not clear what those are supposed to be because they stick up above the top deck, and also at least and then at least one of them actually diverges into a forked version like 2/3 of the way up. True. So this is just a bunch of AI nonsense. So like
I just assumed those were supposed to be like they're building their way up to, and that's supposed to be the top of the top deck, but it is a bunch of nonsense.
Mm-hmm. And also it's built so that like the keel is underground level, which is not how you build a boat. Unless you dug out a pit, which I don't know why you would, unless you're just going to flood that pit because you want to launch the boat directly from where it's built, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So like it's this, just like always with AI, this is giving you the vague impression of building a boat, but if you know anything about boats or just scale or anything else, you're like, oh, this doesn't actually make sense at any point at all. And also, it looks like the sun's in two places. It looks like it's setting at the left side of the image, but then like it's up at like probably 20 degrees in the sky over to the right and in some kind of fiery setting, because the AI also doesn't know how suns work. Yeah, because the AI doesn't know anything. Isabella Tracer for $4.99 says, and then they all got off the Ark and everyone is dead in a few generations due to inbreeding. Wait. Yep. I mean, like honestly, how do you fit the animals is my least is the least of my objections to the story. That's the one where I am just willing to say, okay, sure, you got it. You can fit all the animals. I don't care. It's so meaningless to me.
I would. Oh, before we continue, I'd like to also recognize Air Force Nut, who mentioned who was happy at the mention of the CFL, and says, I found CFL football more engaging than NFL rules. I followed the ill-fated Baltimore CFL Colts / Stallions before they were kicked out by the Ravens and became the Montreal Alouettes. I would like to say one of the reasons why CFL football is more engaging than the NFL is because it is a much less structured, more chaotic game featuring players who are not as skilled and end up making a ton more mistakes than the NFL professionals. So it's not always the case that the best athletes put on the best performance. Sometimes chaos is best.
Can I say though that I think that both a Colt and a Stallion are cooler as a team name and mascot than Alouette?
And you can say that, but I would say you're wrong about that.
I mean, unless the mascot for the Alouette is not actually the animal.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
But they're cool.
I assumed that it was the animal, given that is just French for lark, which is, the bird.
It's kind of like, I mean, it's sort of like a really brawny Alouette carrying a football. So, but it doesn't. It looks like nothing like an actual Alouette.
Okay,
it looks more like a person with a beak.
Maybe 7, since they were clean animals. So Baraminologists say they're
maybe they were clean animals.
Yeah, he was talking about cattle. Because the Bible says that 7 pairs of the clean animals were brought in. So because of course, we have the stitched together story where
it says that, but then it also says that it was just 2 of every kind of animal.
That's because we have one version of the story where Noah sacrifices after getting off the ark, and we need a way to explain away the fact that didn't cause the extinction of the clean animals.
Yes, exactly. Also not 7 of every kind of clean animal either. It's 7 pairs.
Saint Shlomo for $5 says, can someone explain this guy's hair? Is he bald on top? Yes. Is it white? No, it's bald. Is it like a samurai Bushido paint without a top knot? No, he's just bald. And he seems to dye his hair for some reason, which, if you dye your hair and you also go with just the bald top, it draws more attention to the bald spot than if you would just let it go gray. But hey, I'm not this guy's stylist, so I would be shocked if this man had a stylist. In fact, I imagine that if you suggested that he get one, he would respond with a homophobic remark.
He'd probably call you a wokester.
Or he would use a slur beginning with F.
Yes, that more likely, probably.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
May only be 1,400. Some say as low as 1,200 different animal kinds. There wouldn't be that many. Here's an example.
So I want to point out that what he's talking about right now is the actual reason why creationists came up with the idea of kinds, right? It was as an excuse to get the number of animals on the ark down to a small enough number that they could pretend that the ark was plausible. Because let's remember that... Oh, sorry.
No, you finish, and then I'll say my thing.
Because let's remember that for a very long time, for decades, and well into the mid-20th century, creationists were still on fixity of species, and that every single species was a separate creation. That's why in older creationist literature, you hear a whole lot about how the giraffe neck couldn't possibly have evolved. And now they don't talk about it as much because they want you to think that the okapi and the giraffe and Shivatherium and Paleotragus, extinct giraffids, all came from an ark kind, which apparently didn't need all those adaptations because it had a shorter neck.
So I'm getting the uncomfortable feeling that this guy watched our stream with Doc Dino from 2 weeks ago and completely missed the point.
Well, temporally, that would be impossible unless this guy has a time machine.
He might. I guess you don't know this.
I guess I don't know for certain that he does not have a time machine. I do strongly suspect that he doesn't have a time machine, though.
Okay.
Thousands of different kinds of time machine of dinosaurs. Maybe not. Here is an infraorder called the Ceratopsia. Now, in the Ceratopsia here, this was years ago. I think there's more now. There's a.
I'll let it pass. Like I said to Doc Dino earlier today, my rule of thumb is as long as you pronounce every letter with a value that is reasonable for that letter to have, I'm fine with it. Because
I just think this is funny. Like we talked about this on Doc Dino's stream, that some of these didn't even live anywhere close to the same geological era, but also there's 3 different divisions of Ceratopsian in here, and he's got them all just as if they're in the same little bracket, and the sizes aren't correct relative to each other. Oh, not even close. Like Lokiceratops would barely even appear if our Triceratops is that size. Because Vish, you've seen a Triceratops skull. It's bigger than you are. Yeah, Lokiceratops is like the size of Dagon. Actually, it's smaller than Dagon. Leptoceratops, sorry. Smaller than Dagon.
That's the one. Yeah, I believe this is something actually that the Doc Dino talked about specifically on our stream. It's almost like you watched it. But that can't be.
I actually didn't watch it. I just happen to know enough about dinosaurs. I should watch it though. It's just that I keep whenever I should be watching it, I forget.
Yeah.
And then whenever I remember, it's when I'm not in a position to watch it. So, yeah.
11 different species here in the Ceratopsia.
Okay, well, first of all, those are genera, not species. So let's take a drink for him not knowing the difference between a genus and a species. Because that's fun. Second, I will point out that this group here, like Leptoceratops and say Anchiceratops, which are right across from each other, those are animals that are about as similar to each other as like a weasel is to a bobcat. We're not actually talking about terribly similar organisms. And so if he had any sense of consistency, he would have to say that this is more than one kind, at least 3 kinds, I would argue, maybe 4. But he doesn't care because it's just vibes based. There is no sense in which he has some kind of rigor. And that's a problem for actual baraminologists, the people who pretend that they're doing real science when they do this baraminology stuff. To the point that there is a technical term in baraminology called the cognitum, which is literally just a fancy neologism from Latin that means vibe check. We put cows and goats in different kinds here at the Answers in Genesis because of the cognitum, which means that they checked the vibes of goats and cows and thought they weren't similar enough to pass the vibe check to be one kind. So they put them in 2 kinds. And to be fair to them, they put the sheep in the same kind as the goat. But this man right here, he himself has already screwed that difference up because he put the musk ox in with the cattle when it is in fact a goat.
But it may have only been one original kind that they came from. So maybe on the ark, they would have only had to have the one with...
Although he picks one of the most derived of the Ceratopsians. There's so many more basal ones. Leptoceratops is far more basal than Pachyrhinosaurus. Jeez. With its weird boss and all of its extra, occipital horns and crap. I'm taking another drink for picking the most derived. And I'm pretty sure what he's about to say is, because it has all these horns, and then the other ones lost these horns over time. That's what makes sense, guys. Never mind, of course, that it doesn't have horns over its brows like most of the other ones do.
Maybe the most genetic material that was like the original.
I love how he just is like, it's got the fanciest horns, so maybe it had the most genetic material. As if you need extra genes to get more horns. As if that's not just an interplay of actual developmental genes coming on in different patterns. This man has absolutely no clue how any of this works, and it is so obvious. Also, I have to say, the bottom left, Pachyrhinosaurus, that's a pretty good dinosaur feet. On the right, though, no, those are stupid elephant feet, and I hate them. IT Guru for $2 says, Ceratoxian, a triceratops that really likes weed. I like it.
Yeah, the ceratopsians had like distinct toes. They didn't have stumpy elephant feet.
Sure did not. And also, digits 4 and 5 didn't have claws, and they didn't really touch the ground. So,
who needs that kind of nuance, though?
I do. The first thing I always check on ceratopsian or sauropod reconstructions is especially the front feet.
The feet.
Yep, especially the front ones, because sometimes the back ones get a little bit better, but you check the front feet, and they're almost always terrible.
So if you break them down to the original kinds, the baraminologists say there may only be 40 or 60 different original types of dinosaurs.
And if you ask the ancient astronaut theorists, they'll tell you that there was really only one original kind of pyramid. Cool.
Right. Yes.
From which they all came. And even though you might say, well, there's so many different looking dinosaurs. Well, these look different, but they may have come from the same kind.
Dude, that's literally just evolution, though. Look, there's so many kinds of mammals, like humans and polar bears and whales and bats and pangolins and kangaroos and platypus. But maybe they all came from the same kind. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they did. That's evolution.
Isn't he kind of like making a point against a lot of stuff that he's just been strenuously arguing for?
Yeah.
With that statement? Like, that's
because this would be a whole bunch of macroevolution. A whole bunch of macroevolution. Right? Yep.
Yeah. I look across the audience today. I see a lot of people that look very different, but you all came from Adam. And
my guess is that he's looking across his audience, and it's just a sea of white people, and they don't actually look very different. And that's because if you want to find racial segregation in the United States, one of the most segregated places is the interior of a church.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this guy doesn't exactly have the kind of accent that makes me think that he's in a well-integrated church. So, which I get is a stereotype, and I'm stereotyping him, but also, if you're the pastor of a church teaching young earth creationism in the South, that's a cluster of traits that cluster with other traits. And one of them is, to put it mildly, not having a whole lot of people of color around. So maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah.
Eventually, you all came from Noah. Next, he could have taken juveniles into the ark. He didn't have to bring a dreadnoughtus,
So one thing is that this actually does not work for a lot of animals. A lot of animals actually need the socialization of conspecifics as juveniles, or they do not actually grow up able to interact in a healthy way with conspecifics or even with other organisms in the environment. I've told this story before, but there are places in Africa where, as a result of a large amount of poaching of especially bull elephants, who tend to have the biggest tusks for their age, there aren't a lot of older male elephants that are able to basically keep the young male elephants in line. And as a result, those young male elephants are becoming violent towards both humans and other elephants, as well as other wildlife, and are causing a problem for that reason. Because it turns out that, animals learn how to be members of that species from other animals, especially with large, relatively intelligent social animals. So that's not actually going to work out very well. You'll have a bunch of very socially adapted animals. Now, with sauropods, where it seems like they probably didn't raise the young adults probably didn't raise the young. They probably formed to some degree age segregated herds. Maybe that'd be fine, but it's not going to be fine overall for most animals. You can't just take a baby on, especially giving it as little attention as 8 people would be giving these thousands of animals, and expect that to work out.
Babies eat constantly.
Yep.
So
that's the other thing, is how are you going to feed that? Because even if the amount of feed is lower, you're going to have to do constant feeding. Like, if anyone has ever taken care of a newborn, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that they do not let you get 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep a night. That is not a thing that they do.
This is just my offhand comment, but I just want to remind the chat that if you mean Christianity and you're using examples from Christianity, just say that. Don't use religion. Don't say religion when you mean Christianity. Thank you. Continue.
A 30-foot dinosaur in the ark. He could have taken juveniles. FAQ number 2, what do similarities in human and chimpanzee DNA indicate? This has been asked in the past. This is one of their strong or supposedly strong arguments. So for years and growing up, this is what I heard after the Human Genome Project, and they compared our DNA. They were like, well, humans are 99% chimp.
No. What is actually being reported, which you might be misinterpreting because it's a technical thing, is that humans and chimps are 98 to 99% similar in alignable coding regions, which means parts of the genome that can be aligned and that code for proteins. That similarity drops into like the mid to high 80% if you do a whole genome comparison, depending on your technique. That's always been the case. Now, there are some people who would say that we should probably use that 80 to 80-something% number, and that since it's a whole genome similarity, that it's more like a holistic approach, whatever. Sure, maybe.
Our DNA is 99% similar to chimpanzee, and that supposedly proves we evolved from apes.
No. Geez, I'm taking another drink. The actual flat number doesn't prove anything. What actually is important is the pattern, right? So it's not that humans are if humans are more than 95% similar to an organism, that means that they share a common ancestor. That's not how it works. It is the pattern that indicates where humans fit in within the family tree of life and how that corresponds to predictions that were made all the way back in the time of Darwin, who predicted that humans were in fact a group of African apes, because he thought they were more closely related to chimpanzees and gorillas than maybe they were to orangutans. And that the ancestors of humans would be found in Africa. Which, by the way, he was stating in contrast to a lot of the conclusions of other people who thought that humans either must have originated in Europe, because obviously Europe is the coolest place, or that perhaps different groups of humans arose independently in different places. So that like the African people were descended from an African ape, and the European people were descended from a European ape, and the East Asian people were descended from an East Asian ape.
European apes.
There aren't European apes anymore, Vishanti, but there were many of them in the Miocene. So.
And that's a really, 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 really long time ago. And
true.
Yeah, that's. Ugh.
But the even sillier one was like, what if people in South America descended from South American monkeys? It's like, no. But anyway, the prediction from evolution is that there should be a nested hierarchy, so that some apes should be more closely related to humans than either humans or those apes are to other apes. And that because this nested hierarchy is consistent across the tree of life, that indicates common ancestry. So, for instance, if we found out that humans were actually more similar to langur monkeys than they were to chimpanzees, and that chimpanzees were more similar to humans than they were to gorillas, but also not as similar to langur monkeys as they are to humans, that would break that nested hierarchy, and we could not make a conclusion about that. In fact, it would, to some extent, say something funky is going on here because we cannot recover a tree from this data. So it actually would be indicative of separate ancestry. That's why we think that viruses have separate ancestry. They don't all come from a single viral ancestor, because we can't build a consistent tree across all viruses. And so it's not just that it is a big number. It's a high percentage. It is the pattern of the percentages across not just apes, but across all life that is the indication. It is also rhetorically effective that it's so close, but like it's not the actual scientific argument that, well, above 97%, that's common ancestry.
Well, a few years ago, I have a lot of writing up here, but just to sum this up, the prestigious journal Nature in 2005 had an article that said, no, it's not 99%.
This guy, I just realized, not only does his voice sound like an even more nasally, annoying Stephen Greer from Ancient Aliens, but he also kind of looks like the Dollar General version of BTK.
Jeez.
You can't unsee it.
No, I'm gonna hit play and I'm just not gonna think about BTK. And if you don't know who BTK is, clearly you're not watching enough true crime. Don't. Or don't.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. The T stands for torture, so maybe you don't need to look into it.
Yeah, don't do that.
And it's 96%. We're 96% similar to chimps. And then the evolutionists would say, see, we're only 4% different than chimps. We all evolved from apes. Well, what's the problem with that? The human genome...
Nothing.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Our genes, we have about 3 billion base pairs.
Mm-hmm.
So for the math majors, what's 6% or 4% of 3 billion? Yeah, 4% of 3 billion. So that's 120 million. There's 120 million base pair differences between us and the chimps.
No, that's not how that math works. So first of all, it's in alignable coding regions. Now, about 10% of the human genome and the chimp genome is like reasonably attributable, we can reasonably attribute functionality to, right? About 90-ish% is non-functional. So that means that since we're measuring this 98% in alignable coding regions, that none of it is in the non-functional area. So what that means is that we're going from 3 billion down to 300 million, right? And then from there, we're saying that there's a, let's say, we'll call it the 6% difference, right? So we'll multiply that by 0.06 and we get 18 million. And then we divide that in half because roughly speaking, in the split between genus Pan and genus Homo, half of those differences are going to be on one side and half are going to be on the other side. So we divide that by 2 and we come out to 9 million. Which means he's off by 2 orders of magnitude, which is 1 more than the free one that we give to creationists. So no, that is not what that means. It is not 120 million differences. It is about 9 million differences that have to occur in each lineage, period. But also, as some of those differences can be the result of multiple of those differences can be the result of a single mutation. For instance, a deletion or an addition or a duplication can add whole chunks of DNA in between them that will not be easily alignable and that will result in having a difference of multiple base pairs. So it's actually far less than 9 million mutations that need to occur in each lineage.
120 million is quite a lot, considering the fact that 1 base pair difference codes for sickle cell anemia that's killing people all over the world.
What does that have to do with that?
Treatment for sickle cell anemia, but also that's not relevant. And also, can we talk about the genome of the tomato really quick?
Yeah, that is like 3 or 4 times bigger than the human genome.
So
and the
does that
onion
mean
is
tomatoes
too?
Are more evolved? And that, like, what is he doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. All right.
No, we're not 96% chimp. We're basically 120 million base pair differences from chimps. So that's actually a non sequitur. That is a false argument. Now, suppose...
No, that's not a non sequitur, you absolute dork.
Imagine the guy saying that there's too many differences and his evidence is that a single base pair substitution can cause sickle cell anemia, and then he's accusing other people of having non sequitur arguments. My guy, look in the mirror.
Seriously.
What are you doing?
It's all projection.
Humans evolving from apes only took about 300,000 generations, or 6 million years. And then we ask, well, why don't we see evolution occurring today? Well, it takes millions.
We do see evolution occurring today, yeah.
Short amount of times. Like,
yep.
Of years. It takes 300,000 generations from an ape to turn into a human. Well, what if you sped it up? What if you had an animal species that could reproduce in less time, a shorter generation time than humans?
Yeah, what if you got off the ark and hyper-evolved to get all the species from basal pairs in just, a few hundred years? What about that?
I gotta say, I called this episode "Evolution is Real," open parenthesis, but only a little bit and very, very fast, close parenthesis. And I did not realize how accurate that was going to be to the actual subject matter of today's show.
We had one that only took 10 to 14.
I love the fact that he doesn't think that animals can do this. And this is in spite of the fact that human beings have demonstrably changed the way that certain vegetables look, taste, reproduce, what their colors are. Corn, like wild maize, it looks like a little wheat type of grass.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit, it's just some grass.
Corn cobs that you're familiar with. And humans did that in a very short amount of time. So
Coasty Con for $2 says, y'all, that's clearly adaptation, not evolution. Shaking my damn head.
Of course. How silly of us.
That's one of my favorite things. That's adaptation. It's like, yeah, that's an aspect of evolution.
Days, the fruit fly. Or what if you get into my area and you have one that only takes 20 minutes? The bacterium. In fact, there's some
Maybe I should talk to him in a language that he understands.
Well, so...
All right. So if you want to talk about animals getting off the ark, you only have a few hundred years to get from these base pairs up to the highly derived animal species that we see today. But you don't even have that long because, well, we had those species right when we had the first human civilizations, so you have to believe in hyper-evolution.
Excellent. Geez, yeah. I love that he's like positing much, much faster rates of evolution in the arc. And then he's like, but how could humans evolve from chimpanzees in only 6 million years? And it's like, man, that's way more plausible than having all the ceratopsians evolve in only a few thousand years.
Yeah.
Bacterium that can multiply, that can turn over every 12 minutes. But let's just go with an enteric like the ones we commonly have in our gut. Every 20 minutes.
An enteric? What does that mean? Whatever.
It reproduces. In that period
also, Heather Kuhn in the chat says the difference between teosinte and maize is about 5 genes.
In only 14 years, it would go through 368,000 generations.
Big number, therefore God.
In only 14 years. That's more than 6 million years of human evolution. In 25 years, it goes through 657,000 generations. That's equivalent to 13.1 million years of human evolution. In fact, in 1988, a project was started in Michigan, the Linsky Project, in which they have been...
the Linsky long-term experiment. Come on, Dapper. Take us on home.
All right. So, well, first we'll take a drink because I'm pretty sure you predicted that one, right? All right. So the Linsky long-term E. coli experiment not only has it shown many persistent beneficial mutations, it has also ultimately caused what is essentially a speciation event because some of those groups of bacteria no longer meet the classical definition for E. coli, because one of the diagnostic criteria for determining whether or not the bacteria you're dealing with is E. coli is whether or not it can metabolize citrate in an aerobic environment, that is an environment with oxygen. And if the answer is yes, you don't have E. coli. But for the E. coli in the Linsky long-term experiment, for some of them, the answer is, in fact, yes, we can metabolize citrate in an aerobic environment as a result of several mutations, none of which actually were helpful on their own, but which together open up a new metabolic pathway by which they can, in fact, metabolize citrate in the presence of oxygen. So, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Over the course of a few decades, we have watched consistent fitness gains in these E. coli. Now, if you want to make the argument like, yeah, but the ones in your gut haven't been doing that. Well, they've been living in human guts for a lot longer, and chances are they're actually already at basically the optimum phenotype for E. coli living in a human gut. So any change would be to move them away from fitness. So there you go. Once you're at a fitness peak, you literally can't have beneficial mutations because all mutations are not beneficial.
Pressure to mutate. Yeah.
Well, you're going to mutate regardless. But yeah, none of them are going to persist because they can't be positive mutations, basically, because you're already at the fitness peak, which means maybe I should describe a fitness landscape. So it's a conceptual framework that allows you to basically sort of understand how evolution works. And so you have a XY plane, right? That's your horizontal plane. And you can think of that as basically being fitness. Each point on the XY plane, or not fitness, sorry, morphology, represents a slightly different morphology. So, and then you have a vertical axis that gives you peaks and valleys and whatnot. And that represents fitness, which is basically the same as reproductive output. And so any mutation that pushes your morphology to a higher point means that you're more fit and that you have more children, right? But if you're already sitting at the top of a peak, then that means that you're at the most fit morphology, which means any mutation that changes your morphology pushes you down the peak, which means that you basically can't have beneficial mutations because all the mutations are going to do is either keep you where you are because they're neutral, or they're going to push you down, which means that that's going to be selected against. And after having lived in ape guts for millions and millions of years, I'm pretty sure E. coli have managed to find a local peak in the fitness landscape of the human gut. And they're just going to sit there.
Still persisting tells you something.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Also, Primordial Puckles says, recent studies show algae going from single cells to multicellular after introducing a paramecium predator, and then going back to single cellular after the threat was removed within months.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's a single cell dog out there. So, yeah, Kip, you don't know about the single cell dog?
No, I don't.
Have you ever heard of canine venereal, or was it canine transmissible venereal tumors?
Nope.
So this is a sexually transmitted disease in dogs in which they pass on cancer cells between the dogs. And this cancer cell is actually itself a dog cell that became a transmissible cancer after it occurred, I believe, I want to say it was in a North American dog. And so it is, in fact, a single cell dog that is a parasite of other dogs.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Danielle OS says, have you considered that there's always room for improvement? But that's the thing. There isn't always room for improvement. It's actually not true in evolutionary biology. Now, the reason that we could see beneficial mutations occurring in the Lenski long-term E. coli experiment is because that environment isn't a human gut. It's an entirely different environment that has different selection pressures, which means that suddenly those bacteria that used to be on the peak of the fitness landscape of the human gut now find themselves in some kind of valley or something in a new situation. And so then they can have beneficial mutations in that environment. Because another thing that creationists never seem to understand, I can talk, is that fitness is always context dependent. Fitness in one environment is usually, or gaining fitness in one environment is usually losing fitness for other environments.
Thick fur is great in cold environments and actually detrimental in hot environments. Go figure.
Right. Like if you swapped the a population of Arctic foxes and fennec foxes and put the Arctic foxes in the desert and the fennec foxes in the Arctic, neither group would do well. And yet both groups are very well adapted to their actual habitats because fitness is context dependent. The adaptations that Arctic foxes have are useless in the desert, and the adaptations, or actually even harmful in some cases, and the adaptations of fennec foxes are useless or harmful in the Arctic. That doesn't make either one unevolved, nor is it a problem for evolution, because evolution carries with, as a core part of its what it means, that the environment produces the pressures that cause the selection, and so adaptation for an environment is adaptation against other environments. But that is where we're going to start wrapping things up, because we are pretty much at the end.
Why is it that birds can see in the infrared? Why is it that a mantis shrimp has like ridiculous color perception and like 3 sets of detecting cells per eyeball when we only have like one rival. We get binocular vision, and they have suxnocular vision. Like, what's up with that?
It's a good question. But Kip, what do you got coming up that you want people to know about?
Nothing. I am moving over the course of the next 2 weeks, and I need to focus on that. So I won't be doing any shows until August.
That means we've been abandoned by Kip yet again. All right. Well, Vishanti, got anything coming up you want people to know about?
I'm going to be on your channel on Tuesday, filling in.
Yep. So I'll just go into what I'm doing then. So on Tuesday, we've got a special Dapper Reacts. We're going to be taking a look at Dan Biddle talking about the giants of North America and the fact that the Smithsonian is covering up the giants.
Oh my God. I love that topic.
Well, then maybe you should be around.
We did a whole series.
Yes, we did.
Giants and L.A. Marzulli and all that bullshit.
A spoiler alert. Dan Biddle got some of his talking points directly from L.A. Marzulli. They've met and talked about this topic.
Of course they have.
Yeah. Roshina for 199 says, Kip, have fun pegging, whether giving or receiving. There you go, Kip. Have fun with it. And yeah, just enjoy.
Also the chat is reminding me that mantis shrimp actually don't have good color perception, and that's when I get to quote Zafrank, because he's like, well, maybe that's why they dress like an idiot.
All right, so that's Tuesday, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursday, I have the next episode of the Georgia Purdom series. The first one did really well, so I'm hoping this one also does well. This one is called Georgia Purdom Hates Science. And we're going she is going to give away the fact that she actually absolutely despises the very concept of scientific investigation. She is not a fan. So then on Friday, over on Top Hats Off, we're not doing D&D, or well, we're not doing Star Trek Adventures because my producer isn't going to be around, and I don't have the energy to produce the show right now. Because yeah, it's been a few years of nonsense. So instead, what I'm going to do is myself and some friends are going to stream some Dark Tide over on Top Hats Off. So if you like watching us get slaughtered by tidal waves of Nurgle zombies and Chaos Spawn and Plague Ogren and Poxhounds, then come watch us have a great time dying to the oncoming zombie hordes. That'll be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Then on Saturday, I will be here once again with this guy. I don't know if we're going to do an episode after that of this guy because, like, I don't know, he's just doing final questions and whatnot. So I'm not sure how much more content we can squeeze out of this guy. But we'll do at least one more week. And it looks like that will be with Vishanti and not with Kip. So we're getting triple Vishanti in the next week.
Yeah, well, you could also change the topic and you and I could do stuff about horror movies or food or something.
Oh, sure. Do the fun stuff without me.
The problem is that whenever I do that, it tanks the video in the algorithm. Yeah.
It does.
Yep.
Doesn't it?
Thank you, Madam Commissar. You knew exactly where I was going with that. The mantis shrimp is the ancestor to the modern clown. Possessing the same chaotic sense of fashion and a murderous killer instinct.
Grungavaldi Gurnison, who's been a member for 27 months, says, you going to play Total War 40K? Yes, my plan is definitely to buy that game and to play a bunch of it. I have all 3 of the Total War Warhammer games. I enjoy them. I recognize some of their flaws here and there, but yeah, I'm going to be playing Total War Warhammer 40K. Yeah. I haven't decided which species I'm going to start with because I think our options are going to be Space Marine, Imperial Guard, Orcs, and Eldar. And of those, I played a lot of Imperial Guard and Space Marine in other games, and so I might go with Eldar because you don't get a whole lot of Eldar in video games outside of the Dawn of War series so far. So, yeah. All right. That is basically everything. I'm going to be going over to watch an episode of Star Trek over on my Discord server, because at 4 p.m. today, Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be over on Debate Hub debating with Borg Emporia as to whether or not the Maquis from Star Trek are the good guys. I am taking the affirmative. They are the good guys. Although I will not be defending every single action that they take. So, I am not a fan of developing a bioweapon targeted at Cardassians and then being used against Cardassian civilian populations. I'm not a fan of that. Wait, you didn't know about that?
I didn't really watch Deep Space Nine or Voyager. So.
Well, it was after the Cardassian civilian populations poisoned their food and water supplies.
Okay, yeah, this is not going in a direction I like.
Deep Space Nine was dark, man. All right, we're going to get out of here, and I'll see you over on my Discord server if you have access and you're interested. Other than that, I just want to say, as we get out of here, please be safe, have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and ICE must be abolished.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Ben Tovand, Tapioca Weasel, The Plastic Mouse, Mikhail Dominiak, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Love Science, Ember Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, Me, Myself, and I, Ian Kiambi, Kenneth Swenson, Max Cherry, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.